Welcome to the Feed Your Family Tonight podcast. Do you dread hearing the question, what's for dinner? Whether you spend your days keeping up with toddlers, running kids to after-school activities, or juggling a career and family, getting dinner on the table can be a struggle for us all. I'm Mariefiebach, a business owner, wife, and mom of 4. I'm on a mission to build stronger families one dinner at a time, and I'm here with tips, tricks, and inspiration you need to feed your family tonight. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Feed Your Family Tonight podcast, episode 131. I'm your host, Mariefiebach, and today we are going to talk about a new way to look at recipes. When you are making your weekly meal planning, you want to think about time first. A meal plan that works is a meal plan that is actually a time management tool. Because when I talk to people, and I have talked to hundreds of you about what your big challenges are facing weeknight dinner, there are 2 big challenges that are the most common. The first one is picky eaters, or having people in the family that have to eat different things and trying to manage all of that. The other one is time. Now, we'll tackle picky eaters in a later podcast because it's a really important topic, but I want to tackle the idea of time just a little bit today. There's a reason the Feed Your Family Tonight weekly meal planning sheet starts with looking at your schedule. And that is because meal plans do not work if they do not fit into your schedule. You have to plan dinners that work with what your life is like rather than what you think it should look like. We have to have a healthy dose of reality of what is really happening in our home rather than what we want it to look like. And what that means is to be successful, you want to put the right kinds of meals on the right kinds of days. And we're going to dig into how to distinguish what kind of meal you need for that particular kind of day. When I go out and I talk to moms about the Feed Your Family Tonight system, I always talk about how we have to start with our schedules, that you have to plan when you are going to eat before you can figure out what you're going to eat. Because if you plan to make my lemon ramen chicken stir fry, but it is a day that you are running kids to activities, and the minute you walk in the door, everybody is hungry, everybody is cranky, you are overwhelmed because you've been playing mom taxi for the past 2.5 hours. And even though it's a quick and easy 30-minute meal, your family doesn't want to wait 30 minutes to sit down and eat dinner. You are going to feel frenzied, your kids are going to be cranky, and one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to feed them snacks so that they stop being cranky and then they don't really eat dinner. Or you're going to have a very unpleasant family dinner because everybody is in a bad mood. Have you been there? I know I have many, many times. Now, that's not to say that you make perfect plans and you look at your schedule and you plan meals, and there are always going to be times where the wheels fall off and your day isn't going to turn out how you anticipated. But what if you started meal planning with a system where there were fewer of those days where the wheels fell apart, and you had a rhythm going in your family and you planned meals that worked for the different kinds of days that you were facing throughout the week? My brain has been twirling on this concept for a really long time under the surface. So oftentimes we're thinking about things at the unconscious level, and then eventually they kind of bubble up into reality. I think it's finally time for me to pull this concept out of my head and start sharing it with you. Most of the Feed Your Family Tonight concepts that I share with you are things that I have done personally for years. But a lot of times they're not things that I knew that I was doing. I did them at a subconscious level, and I would have to take a step back and kind of reverse engineer what I was doing naturally so that I could teach you the steps that I was doing and break them down so that you can replicate them with success in your home. If you've been around here a hot minute, you know that I am a big fan of Lisa Woodruff at Organize 365. And one time she said that it takes something like 32 steps to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And you're going to think, no, it doesn't. To make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you take 2 pieces of bread, you put peanut butter on one side, you put jelly on the other, you put the bread together, and your sandwich is made. But Lisa said, yes, those are the steps to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But let's take it back one step further. You have to think about the bread. Where is the bread located in the kitchen? You have to identify where the bread is. You have to take the bread out of its original location. You have to open the bag of bread. You have to take out 2 slices of bread, close the bag, return it to its location, and then we have to start thinking about the peanut butter. Where is the peanut butter located? You have to locate the peanut butter, take it out of its place, open the lid, open the drawer to get the knife out. Identify that you need a knife for the peanut butter instead of a spoon. Take the knife out of the drawer, close the drawer, take the knife and put it inside the peanut butter, scoop out the peanut butter with the knife, spread. I could go on. But when you are making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, there are lots of little micro steps in there that you don't do at a conscious level, but they are steps that you still have to perform. And successful weeknight meal plans have way more little micro steps than just plan and prep, set a dinner bell, and always have a backup. There are sub steps in each of those categories that you have to do to have a very successful meal plan. And today we're going to talk about some of those sub steps for meal planning. Today we're going to focus on the time management of meal planning. When I look at my schedule, I need to figure out when we're going to eat, and I set the dinner bell, which is our target time that we are going to eat. Then I go back to my calendar or the schedule in my brain, and I think about my day. Do I have a really busy day with lots of meetings and appointments back to back? What is my energy going to be like at the end of the day? What is my current grocery situation? Can I make dinner without having to go to the grocery store first? Are there any ingredients in my refrigerator that need to get used up before they are going to spoil? These are all little micro decisions that I'm thinking about as I am working on my weekly meal plan. How much time and effort am I willing to put into dinner on that particular day? There are days where I have energy and time to make a triple batch of lasagna, and we're going to have one for dinner that night. I'm going to put 2 in the freezer for another night when I'm not going to have as much energy, and it is high hands-on work. But it is also high payoff because I won't have hands-on work 2 other nights sometime in the future. And today Marie is thinking future Marie is going to be really happy that she actually puts in the hands-on work to do a little bit of batch cooking and prepping. Then there are some days where I know that I need to pull out one of those lasagnas that I made 3 weeks ago and put in the freezer, because that is a day that I am running from appointment to appointment, and I know that I am not going to have energy, and slipping a frozen lasagna into the oven is the maximum effort that I am going to be able to put forth on that type of day. When I sit down to make my weekly meal planning, I am subconsciously calculating my time and energy on a given day. Getting my weekly meal plan working is time and project management, so much more than it is actually cooking or planning recipes. My subconscious mind is putting meals into categories. And that is that concept that has been twirling in my head for a while. What are these categories, quote unquote, that my mind has been putting meals in? And I've kind of broken it down into 5 general categories. And These concepts may get refined a little bit in the future, but I wanted to give them to you now so that your brain can start thinking about it and start twirling it around and eventually help you implement it in your meal planning. The first category of meals are things that are long prep project cooking. These are things like homemade pot stickers or my mother's homemade spaghetti that takes 8 hours to simmer on the stove, or special occasion kinds of cooking like making baklava, something that takes a lot of hands-on time. I'm not necessarily doing batch cooking for my future. It's just something that our family likes. It is a project and it is a long amount of time. Second category is long prep bulk cooking or freezer prep cooking. These are things like when I make my triple batch of lasagna and I prepare 2 extras to freeze for future use. It's more than just that cook once, eat twice concept. I like that cook once, eat twice concept where just make a double batch of whatever you're making and put it in the freezer. This is a little bit more than that. This is kind of a little bit of a project like my big batch taco meat. When I make big batch taco meat, it takes a little bit more time. I make 12 pounds of meat because that's what can fit into my largest pot. And then after dinner, I'm going to have a little bit more time to clean up because I have to get everything put into meal-sized portions for my family, and I put it in the freezer. So it's kind of bulk cooking, batch cooking, freezer prep. You know those kinds of meals where you're making a little bit extra so that your future self will be happy. Third category, short prep, long hands-off cooking. This is something like my roast chicken. It takes me 10 minutes to get my chicken salted and prepped and into the refrigerator. They sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then I put them in the oven and they're going to cook for an hour and a half. I have 10 minutes of prep, which is, in my opinion, kind of a short prep time, but it cooks completely hands off. When it goes in the oven, I don't have to check on it. I don't have to do anything with it. I prep it and I put it in the oven and it cooks for a long amount of time. Crock-pot meals would fit into this category where you're doing some prep, getting things ready to put it in the crock pot. You put the crock pot on low or high and it cooks for several hours. Slow cooked beef stock. When I am making beef stock from my beef bones, I put the bones in the oven, I roast them. 20 minutes later, I throw some water in and I let it cook for several hours and I don't think about it. Doesn't take a lot of hands-on, but it's a long cooking time. Short prep, long hands-off cooking. Fourth category, short prep, moderate hands-on cooking. These are your 30-minute meals, your 20-minute meals, where you can do the whole recipe start to finish in 20 or 30 minutes, but you better be ready to be physically working in the kitchen, standing at the stove, cutting at the cutting board that entire amount of time. It doesn't take a lot of prep. It doesn't take a lot of cooking, but you have to be fully present while that meal is being prepared. Something like that is my lemon ramen chicken stir fry, my ginger pear chicken. It requires hands-on work, but it's done in 30 minutes start to finish. The next category is short prep, hands-off cooking. These are things like my Instant Pot meals, my Mongolian beef, or the ultimate easy Instant Pot meal is my chicken and brown rice. That is basically a dump and go kind of meal. I put the rice in, I put the broth in, I put the chicken in, and I turn it on, and 30 minutes later, dinner is ready, and I did not have to do anything but put the ingredients in the Instant Pot. These are kind of the holy grail of quick weeknight dinners. Short prep, hands-off cooking. Our final little bonus category, so I guess there's really 6 and not 5, but our final little bonus category is what I would call freezer revival cooking, where I am taking that lasagna from my freezer that I made 3 weeks ago and putting it in the oven. Or I'm thawing my taco meat or my barbecue beef that I had made in one of those batch cooking freezer prep kind of sessions. I still may have a little bit of hands-on for those kinds of dinners. I might be making a salad or boiling some pasta or something, but it's basically taking the main part of the dinner from the freezer and I am just reheating. When you start making your dinner plans, I want you to think about these categories of recipes. And when you're looking at your schedule and you're trying to plan what meals you're going to put on a given night, you want to think about what kind of meal are you ready to prepare on that night. One big example for me is on the weekends, I usually do not feel like doing a lot of hands-on cooking. I'm doing a lot of freezer revival cooking, or I'm doing a lot of short prep hands-off cooking, or something like grilling where I can prep it and I will have some hands-on cooking while I'm grilling, but it's a quick and easy meal because I don't feel like doing a lot of project cooking or even hands-on cooking on the weekends. What days do you have more time to get some of that batch cooking done so that your future self is happy? What days do you need something that you can spend a little bit of time prepping in the morning or maybe over your lunch hour? You can put it in the oven, you can put it in the slow cooker. So it's short prep, but it has long cooking time. When you start looking at these different categories, it's going to help you make wiser decisions about the kinds of meals that you are cooking every day. I want to recap these 5 categories with the 6th kind of bonus category. We have the long prep project cooking. These are special occasion kinds of things. We have the long prep bulk cooking or freezer prep, where you are making something to eat that night, but you're also making extra so that you have short prep times on another day. Then we have that short prep, long hands-off cooking. These are like my roast chicken or your slow cooker kinds of meals where you have a little bit of prep. It doesn't take that long. It's going to take a long time for this to cook, but you don't really have to be tending to it. Then we have the short prep, moderate hands-on cooking. These are your 20-minute meals, your 30-minute meals where it doesn't take you all that long, but you have to be fully present while they are cooking. Then you have the Holy Grail, which is the short prep, hands-off cooking. These are things like your Instant Pot meals where it only takes you a couple of minutes to prep and you don't have to be tending to it while the cooking is happening. And then the kind of 6th bonus category, which is your freezer revival, where you're pulling some of those things that you made during those batch cooking sessions and you're reheating them from the freezer. I hope thinking about your recipes in a new way is going to help you be more successful when you start crafting your weekly meal planning. We're going to dig into some of these categories a little bit deeper in some future podcasts, but for now, just start thinking about it and let those ideas twirl in your head. I have found I have to think about things for weeks or months before my brain can start really internalizing them and I can take action on them. So don't feel like you have to take action on this right away. I just want you to start thinking about your recipes and where you would put them in those 5/6 categories. For now, friends, I hope you are enjoying your time with your family. I'm hoping that weeknight dinners are getting just a little bit easier for you. I would love to hear from you in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group to hear about how weeknight dinners are working in your family and what you think about these categories of recipes. Join me in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group. And if you would like to support the podcast, can you take just a minute in whatever app you're listening to, give us a 5-star rating and maybe take an extra minute or 2 and write a quick review. It really helps others find this podcast so that we can share the word of Feed Your Family Tonight. Take care, friends.